There is a door inside the Great Pyramid that has not been opened in 4,500 years. No tomb robber has ever touched it, no explorer has ever found it. Until now. In 2025, scanning technology detected a 30-meter corridor hidden deep inside the pyramid. And at the end of that corridor, a sealed entrance has been waiting in darkness since before the alphabet existed. Egypt's top archaeologist says what's behind it will rewrite history, but he's making the world wait until 2026 to find out why. To understand what is happening inside the Great Pyramid right now, there is something important about what has been going on above it every single second for billions of years. Cosmic rays, high-energy particles shooting out from exploding stars and slamming into the atmosphere at almost the speed of light. When they hit air molecules, they create particles called muons that rain down on everything, including ancient stone monuments. Here is where it gets interesting. Muons pass through solid rock the same way X-rays pass through flesh. So placing detectors inside a pyramid makes it possible to map what is hidden inside without drilling a single hole. It is like watching shadows made by invisible space particles. Back in 2015, an international team called Scanpyramids put these detectors inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu, looking for voids, empty spaces where more muons got through. What they found changed everything about this place. In 2017, they announced something that National Geographic called the Find of the Century. A massive empty space at least 30 meters long sat right above the Grand Gallery, a void the size of an airplane that nobody knew existed for 4,500 years. Nobody even guessed it was there. But that was not the only anomaly the scanners picked up. On the north side of the pyramid, the detectors were catching something else, something smaller that appeared to be right behind the V-shaped stones visible from outside, the same stones that mark where the original entrance used to be. The data showed a corridor, but the team needed years of extra scanning to confirm the dimensions. In March 2023, they published their findings, a horizontal passage about 9 meters long, 2 meters wide, and 2 meters tall. Then they did something unprecedented. They threaded an endoscope through a tiny gap in the stones and captured footage from inside, revealing a ceiling with an arch to it, rough stone walls, and a passage that had not seen light since the pyramid was sealed. But 9 meters isn't 30. What the endoscope captured was just the beginning, and that's when Egypt's most famous archaeologist stepped forward with a claim that made the 2023 discovery look like just the opening act. Zahi Hawass doesn't do subtle. The 78-year-old former Minister of Antiquities has excavated more sites in Egypt than probably anyone alive. Some call him a showman, others call him the Indiana Jones of the Nile. When Hawass makes an announcement, people pay attention, even when they're not sure they believe him. In November 2025, Hawass appeared at a book fair in Sharjah, and what he said there has been reverberating through the archaeology world ever since. He said a great archaeological discovery that will write a new chapter in the history of the pharaohs. He wasn't talking about that 9-meter corridor from 2023. He was describing something much larger. A 30-meter-long passageway detected with advanced scanning equipment, and at the very end of it, a sealed door. The obvious question is what's behind that door, but Hawass won't say. He's promised a full scientific report before revealing everything in 2026. The strange part is why wait? If the corridor has already been detected, why sit on this for over a year? One possibility is that whatever is behind that door needs serious preparation, both figuring out how to access it without causing damage and preparing the world for something that might be significant. The Great Pyramid has been explored for centuries. Napoleon's soldiers scratched their names into the walls. Victorian explorers used gunpowder to blast through passages. Howard Weiss in the 1830s used explosions trying to find hidden rooms. Through all of that, this corridor stayed sealed and the door stayed shut. Whatever Khufu placed behind it, if he placed anything there at all, has been sitting in total darkness for 4,500 years. This brings up the mystery that has been haunting Egyptologists forever. Where is Khufu? The king's chamber, where he was supposedly buried, only contains an empty stone coffin. No lid, no mummy, nothing. The assumption was always that tomb robbers took everything, but Hawass has never accepted that explanation. Back in 2013, he said, "I really believe that Cheops' chamber is not discovered yet, and all the 3 chambers were just to deceive the thieves." If he is right, and those chambers were just decoys, then the actual burial spot of the pharaoh who built the biggest pyramid ever has never been found. And that sealed door at the end of the 30-meter corridor might lead straight to it. What could be behind that door? Khufu's real tomb with all his treasures still inside? Something even older? Or maybe just an empty room? Drop a theory in the comments. Before speculating too much about what is inside, there is the question of what the pyramid has already revealed about how it was built, because a lot of it still does not make sense. The Great Pyramid stands 146 meters tall with roughly 2.3 million stone blocks, averaging about 2.5 tons each. The base is so precise that the level only varies by less than an inch across 13 acres. Modern engineers still cannot explain how they achieve that precision. But the most puzzling thing is not the size, it is the internal complexity. No other pyramid from that era has tunnels and chambers built up high like this one. There is a chamber carved into bedrock 90 feet underground that was apparently abandoned mid-construction. The queen's chamber probably was never meant for any queen. The grand gallery rises at a 26-degree angle for over 150 feet, and nobody really knows why. For years, the assumption was that these features served structural purposes, relieving pressure and distributing weight. But a 2025 study suggested something different. What if the Grand Gallery and the passages were not just architecture? What if they were machines? The theory is that the internal corridors worked like a giant counterweight system, allowing workers to lift massive blocks without external ramps. If true, then all the voids and passages the scanners keep finding are not random gaps. They are components of ancient technology only now being understood. Meanwhile, 15 million tourists visited Giza in 2024, walking past these stones with no idea what is happening inside. They take photos, marvel at the scale, and leave without knowing that robots are moving through passages overhead while cosmic rays map spaces no human has ever seen. The pyramid does not give up secrets easily, but it cannot keep them forever. The real question is not whether there is more to find inside the Great Pyramid. There definitely is. The question is whether the 2026 announcement will finally solve the oldest mystery or just raise more questions. What's known for certain is that scanners found a 30-meter corridor inside the Great Pyramid ending at a sealed door. Robots have photographed at least part of it, and Hawass says when everything is published in 2026, it will rewrite the history books. What's not known is whether there is anything in the corridor, whether it connects to more chambers, or whether anything waits behind that door. The timing is deliberate. In November 2025, Egypt opened the Grand Egyptian Museum, a billion-dollar facility with over 100,000 artifacts, including all 5,398 objects from King Tut's tomb displayed together for the first time. Hawass called it one of the greatest museums in the world, and he specifically connected the opening to the 2026 pyramid reveal. Global interest in Egyptian antiquities has never been higher, so when the announcement comes, the whole world will be watching. During his talk in Sharjah, Hawass hinted at something beyond the 30-meter corridor. He mentioned 2 dreams from his entire career, finding the tomb of Imhotep, the architect who designed Egypt's first pyramid 4,700 years ago, and finding the tomb of Nefertiti, the queen whose burial has never been located. Hawass has said that finding Imhotep's tomb would be even bigger than finding Tutankhamun's tomb. What if that sealed door does not lead to Khufu at all? The Great Pyramid was built centuries after Imhotep died, but Imhotep became a god, worshipped for 3,000 years as a divine figure of wisdom and architecture. His tomb has never been found. Some researchers believe it is under the sand at Saqqara. Others think it might have been hidden inside one of the monuments he inspired. The pyramid has always seemed too complicated for just a burial. If that 30-meter corridor leads to some kind of sacred archive or divine memorial, it would change everything about ancient Egypt. Somewhere inside that mountain of stone, behind a door that has not been touched since humans were using bronze tools, something is waiting. Maybe it is empty. Maybe it is sand and rocks and 4,000 years of dust. Or maybe it is exactly what Hawass believes, a discovery that changes history. The scanners continue working, the muons keep falling, and the world's oldest mystery inches toward revelation. But there is a question nobody seems to be asking. If that door stayed sealed since the pyramid was finished, if no tomb robbers ever cracked it, if no explorer ever blasted through, then what was important enough to hide this carefully? And why does it feel like the builders wanted it found eventually? The answer comes in 2026. Until then, the pyramid keeps its silence.